Welcome to the Books and Martinis podcast.
I'm Priya.
And I'm Mercy.
And this is your go-to book podcast,
where we lift, empower, and spotlight authors.
Grab your martini and follow along.
And don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe.
Welcome to our podcast. I'm Priya.
And I'm Mercy. Welcome, everybody. And welcome to our very special guest, Fabrico. Welcome. Big cheers,
welcome,
ladies.
Stacey.
Hello, ladies. Cheers.
Thank
you so much for having me on today.
Absolutely. I did not say the name in case we didn't want to say the name. So.
Well, I totally gave it up.
Spoiler.
I said Stacey.
It's fine.
You
can call me SR or Stacey, whichever you prefer.
Okay, perfect. Okay, Stacey, great. I wasn't sure. So yay, I'm so glad you're here with us today. And Priya, tell us all about her. I know you have her information.
Sure. So in your ears and on the screen is SR Fabrico. We are so excited to have you here. You've written a ton of books, but today we're only talking about one.
Yes,
called
ma'am.
Janie.
Yes,
the
ma'am.
first in amazing series of books that you've written. And I'm gonna read a little bit of her bio from the back of her book for you. And of course you could fill in the little gaps for us, Stacey. So Stacey's a multi-award winning author. Her debut novel, The Secrets We Conceal, was published in March 2022. She has also written a series of sports journals for athletes, a 25-plus year professional in the business, marketing, and sports world. She is a world champion dance coach, Coach of the Year recipient, and speaker at various conferences across the United States. Stacey works and writes from her home in Tennessee, where she lives with her husband and 2 children.
Yes,
okay,
ma'am.
So I mean, that sounds like a lot, but I know there's a lot more to you because we're also talking about your podcasts.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this is your realm.
Yeah. So I had work with our own several different businesses, primarily in youth sports, which I love kids. I've worked with children my whole life. As it said, I coached. I don't coach anymore, but I coached for over 20 years. And me and my 3 business partners started a podcast. It's called the Modus Edge podcast. And it's all about business and marketing and just how to grow your business, good business practices, business tips. We cut up, make a lot of jokes, talk over each other constantly, have on awesome guests, and that's my day life. But in my nightlife, I like to write books.
Wow, it's a long day.
Yeah.
I love that. So I know that we have 3 amazing books, right? So there's a trilogy, which is Southport series, and
Correct.
It's a beach read.
Yes.
It's also Friends to Lovers, and I was reading a little bit about you. And then that was making a lot of sense with what's in the book, because the siblings in the book, the setting of the book in North Carolina, and even the personalities when you start, because it is you can't stop once you start.
It's nonstop, guys. Call Her Janie is nonstop.
It's nonstop. So I see that there's a lot of inspiration, and one of the first questions I wanted to ask you was, did the writing process for you start when you went to North Carolina to visit your siblings?
So for this book specifically, yes, but
series.
not writing in general. So my debut novel I wrote as a gift for my husband for Christmas. I had no intentions of publishing. I didn't have any intentions of being an author. As a matter of fact, my degree is in math.
And you do marketing too.
Yes. And obviously for the last 30 years, I've been doing business and marketing, and I had no interest in writing anything. It was really more just a story for my husband that I wanted to share with him. He had made, a significant impact on my life, and I wanted to tell him that story. So I wrote this book. I literally printed it out, 3-hole punched it, stuck it in a binder, and gave it to him for Christmas. And
that's so sweet.
That was in 2018. So fast forward to COVID, and I had a little bit of time on my hands. Some things in my life had changed, and I thought, you know what? I put a lot of effort into this. Let me see if I want, figure out if I want to publish this. Mm-hmm. So I did that. And then after publishing that first book, I kind of fell in love with the writing process. I actually think that coaching cheerleading and dance my whole life was quite a bit of a like creative outlet for me. While I am kind of a math brained person, I do also I am really creative and I need that kind of creative outlet. And so in
Mm.
hindsight, I stopped coaching in 2018, which is when I wrote that first book. So I think that the continuing to write became my creative outlet. And it actually is very similar to kind of choreographing a routine, believe it or not. So it's, I mean, obviously not exactly, but it is kind of a similar process. So anyway, I had started writing another book, which I have never published. I trashed it and I was in having a hard time. Just I don't know, just a moment. And I really just wanted to get away. And I talked to my husband and I was like, I just need to go away for a couple days and clear my head. I need to get out of here. Like all this that's going on is just too much. And he agreed and was like, support that, whatever. So I went to visit some family in Southport, North Carolina. And I was just gonna, write. Like I didn't know what I was gonna write. I didn't know what I was gonna do. I had no intentions of writing about Southport, but I knew that this book I was writing I just was no longer going to work on it anymore. I just needed to stop. And I took my brother and sister-in-law were out at work. And I took my laptop down to the waterfront. They have picnic tables there. And I sat at the picnic table with my computer and I literally just watched the town. And I was like, man, this is really cool. And all of a sudden, an outline, not the story, but an outline just poured out of me from beginning to end.
Wow.
And by the time I got back to the house for dinner, I was like telling them all about what was going to happen in this book. And my sister-in-law was like, you just did all of that this afternoon? I was like, yes, like I just got so inspired, by sitting there and just watching the community do its thing like a fly on the wall, and boom, I just created the outline and then off I went. And so the book was never intended to be a trilogy. But as I started working through the chapters off the outline, I was like, whoa, there's way more to unpack to this story. And it kind of turned into a trilogy after the fact. So hold up your book again so I can see the cover. Okay, so you guys have the new cover. So there was an original cover that was different. It was the same, it was similar, but it was
Well, I
like
noticed your cover was different. Is that the same one
no,
you're talking about?
this is still the new one. I don't know. You know what?
Oh, the color just looks different from the
I
other.
should have
Yeah.
Here,
snagged. I should
I
have
see
snagged one,
here
but
the port and some sailboats in the background,
yeah,
right?
so the image was basically the same. The coloring was a little different, and it didn't say anything about being the Southport series book one. And you'll see on the spine how it says, like right here, book one, Southport
Mm.
series, like that didn't exist.
Yeah.
So I
Mm.
redid the cover after it was originally published. So there
Oh,
are,
okay.
several hundred, maybe even 1,000
Copies
copies
out
of
there.
the original cover. And then I changed the cover so that it would match the trilogy, all three of them when they all came out.
Ah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yes.
Was that hard
Readers
to do?
do
Was that
ask
hard
for
to
that.
change the cover? Like, what was
No,
that process
actually,
like?
honestly, no, because I have a fabulous cover designer. He's designed all of my covers. His name is Mo, and he's with the Paper House Books,
Mhm.
and he's phenomenal. And I trust him implicitly, and he just does such a wonderful job. And so I went to him and I said, "Hey, guess what? This book is now a trilogy, and I want to tweak it a little bit. I kind of want to brighten it up some, and we need to make it clear that it's a trilogy." So that's
Mhm.
basically mostly what happened. So the font on this one is bigger. Like the font on the original one is a little smaller.
Yeah.
And this where it says the Southport series book one doesn't exist. And these are all a little bit more vibrant in color. The other one is a little more darker. Like a little more thriller, if you will.
Mhm.
Hmm.
And we changed that so that we could, it would just flow better with the other ones. And I mean, I know we're talking about Call Her Janie, but you can see like the other two, they all go,
Mm.
Oh,
they
similar with the
all
The
gradients and
colors
everything.
bleed into each other.
correct.
Hmm.
They all
Flow.
flow. And then you've got the
Hmm.
book 2 and 3 on the spine. And
Love it.
so
Smart.
he did a wonderful job. And honestly,
He did.
I give him all the credit. Like it was easy. I just told him what I needed and boom, there it was.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you. From the moment that you sat down at that picnic table and you started people watching and your creative juices started going crazy and exploding in your brain, to the moment that you completed this first book, how long of a process was that for you?
Oh goodness. Okay. So I feel like my visit was in October of 2022, I bet. And I believe this book, goodness, when did it come out? I believe it came out in the summer of 2023,
Oh,
I
that's
think.
pretty
Yeah.
quick.
Yeah.
That's pretty
That
quick.
was really
I feel
quick.
like I wrote it actually pretty quick and started the editing process. I always go through approximately 4 edits, and
Hmm.
then, I mean, professional edits besides my own edits. I
Right.
edit it a
Yeah.
million times myself, but 4 professional edits and then a proofreader. And then I have a period where I have arcs kind of going through it for, arc readers going through it for
Right.
proofreading and that kind of stuff. I feel like I started that probably by January, I bet, of that
Wow.
next year. Yeah. Because it just came so fast. And you were asking me about the inspiration. So I got the inspiration for the town while sitting there, but I didn't, and I kind of built out like the storyline, but then the next day is when I started building the characters. And I don't know, everybody's different, but when I write, I like to take my characters and I have a whole sheet for every single character and who they are, what their personality is, if they're religious, if they're not religious, what's their favorite food, what's their favorite drink, whatever. I mean, it's probably 100 questions that I fill in and create this character, none of which may ever really appear in the book, but if you
Hmm.
notice when you're reading Color Janie, like Lizzie is like a coffee fiend. And well, that was part of my character building of her. So when it was appropriate, like I threw that in there,
Right.
because that was her character, that's who she was. And so when I started building the characters is when I started kind of drawing inspiration from my family, and just little idiosyncrasies that they have that I kind of built into the characters just to make it more fun and more real. And actually, it's the two things I hear most about that book is I literally like had to keep reading it. I had to finish it quickly. Most people say they read it in a handful of days,
Hmm.
and I hear all the time how wonderful the characters are and they feel real and they're like my best friends. Like those are the two things
Yes,
that come from people when they're talking about the book the most.
I could
So,
see that. I can absolutely
yeah.
see that. And when did you decide that it would be a trilogy and it wouldn't just stop here? Because I know you originally published it thinking this was it,
Yeah, so
and then there was more.
yes. So basically I contacted a friend of mine who is a child attorney, and I was asking her about all of the legal aspect if um which I mean I don't want to give too much away, but I mean whatever,
No,
Well,
right?
no
Lizzie,
spoilers.
Lizzie has a
Um
child, and you have that in the description. So,
Correct. So
yeah.
Lizzie has a child, and so I contacted an attorney to understand like what would actually happen if a child were stolen, let's say,
Hmm.
and the birth certificate wasn't in the correct parent's name, like what would be the actual legal process. And so when she started kind of explaining all of that to me, I was like, oh my gosh. And that is when I was like, there's so much to unpack here. And so basically, that whole, I mean, we touch on that a little bit in book one,
Hmm.
but that
Right.
whole legal aspect of it comes into book two. And that's what I hear oftentimes about book two. Like, is that real? And yes, every bit of that is actually what would legally have occurred in the state of North Carolina if that were to happen,
Oh,
so
Okay.
wow.
yeah, so that's when it became, 2 books. And then to be quite honest with you, I was like, well, I just feel like, I don't know. I mean, not that there's anything wrong with a 2 book series, but to me, it's kind of like if you're going to do 2 books, you might as well do three, right? Like, let's write a
Right.
trilogy. So,
It's like a
so I,
tease. Like, come on.
right, right. I mean, I don't know. Like
Yeah.
anytime I'm reading books and there's only 2 books, I'm like, but wait, like I just, like it's everything. I feel like the books
There's a
come in
third.
threes,
Yes.
right? So I was like, if I'm gonna write two, I need to write three, but I didn't know for sure what the third book was gonna be, and I didn't force it. I was like, I'm gonna write the second book and kind of see where it takes me,
Yeah.
and then that's kind of how I came to the conclusion or the decision of what the third book was going to be. And I know you guys have only read the first one,
Right.
but the third one is actually the child as an adult. So it kind of wraps up really,
Oh.
really nicely. It's pretty cool little
Are
spin.
are the other two books as heart stopping as the first book? Because even like the first chapter in the first book, you're just like, what? You know what I mean? Like
What is
right off
happening?
bat, you just throw us right into it, and I
So
freaking love
actually,
that.
so actually it's kind of funny. I can quickly, because this is how simple it is, but the prologue in the second book
Uh-huh.
is a sentence. It says, life has a knack for altering course in ways we can't possibly fathom. I believe that's why I, like other human beings, hold on to hope, unwavering hope and faith that things will work out how they are intended to carry us forward into tomorrow. And so that's the
Oh.
prologue. And
Hmm.
people are like, you know,
What?
Oh my God. Like what, and hope is capitalized, which
Mm-hmm.
obviously, makes sense when you
Yes.
get to book three.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yes, I feel like yes. I think that there's no, you know what? I was gonna say I think there's more thriller in the first one, but I take that back. More suspense. I mean, no, like yeah, they're all pretty on the edge of your seat, pretty
Mm-hmm.
suspenseful. But I think they're kind of light too and fun. There's a lot of fun in there. It's not like super intense, in my opinion. I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe
Right.
not, but uh,
Right.
It's the right type of intense.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah, like
Yes.
you want to keep turning the pages, but you're not like looking over your shoulder, I guess is kind of the way I look at it.
Well,
Or
it
maybe
depends
you
on
are. I
who's
Right.
don't
reading
know.
it too. Some people are scared of cats.
That's true. That's
You know
true.
what I mean?
So if you have a writer listening to us today, what advice would you give them from the experience that you had in writing a trilogy? Obviously, you've written more than a trilogy, but in
Yeah,
writing a
so
trilogy,
I would say, well, first and foremost, when I get asked about writing advice, I always recommend, making sure that you have a fabulous cover designer. The saying that you can't judge a book by its cover is true, except when you're a writer.
Yeah. I agree with that because
So,
I'll just pick up a
um,
book based on the cover.
correct.
I do too.
And a lot of readers will. So it is an important investment and you are a writer. If you're not a graphic designer, hire someone and don't just hire any
Correct.
graphic designer, hire someone that actually has experience with covers. So I
Yeah.
always like to say that. I always like to encourage people to hire professional editors if you really, depending on what you want, but if you want to
Right.
write a polished good book that people want to read that's going to catch fire and sell a lot of copies, if that's your goal, then you want to do it right and make sure that you have proper editors and that you're doing the book its due justice, if you will. But as far as
Hmm.
the trilogy is concerned, the one thing I think that I would do differently if I were to do it over again or if I ever write another trilogy is I actually think that I would write all three books first and then publish them in sequential order, obviously,
Oh,
Oh.
because it was extraordinarily difficult to write, publish, market, promote, write. Like while that's happening, I'm working on writing book two, and then I'm putting out book two, publishing book two, promoting book two while trying to write book three. And actually, not to veer off course too far, but in the middle of all of that, I actually got very, very sick in between book two and book three.
Oh.
Yes, my doctors told me that I had a stroke. I did
oh
not have a stroke.
wow. Oh, okay.
But they misdiagnosed me, and so I couldn't walk for a period of time without assistance. I would fall over,
Oh no.
and I was numb. I couldn't feel my feet. I was losing, I had all this numbness and tingling on the right side of my body, and I was losing feeling on the right side of my body. I was tripping and falling down the stairs, and it was a year of pokes and prods, and the doctors could not figure out what was wrong with me, and it turns out I have MS. So I was diagnosed with
I was just gonna say that.
yep, I was diagnosed with MS, and which it's funny because it's not something that's fabulous to be diagnosed with. However, when you've been struggling for really 2 years, it was a year of really bad misery, but it was 2 years of kind of like something's not right. I don't quite feel right, but I just kept ignoring it and not listening to my body. And when you go through that, and the doctor finally has an answer for you, like I jumped off the table and did a happy dance. I was like, okay, we
Sure.
we have an
Finally,
I
I
know
know what
what's
it
answer.
the
is.
battle.
Yes, we have an answer, and now we can work to get better. But at one point, it was so bad that I literally couldn't even type on the keyboard because it
Oh,
was it was hurt.
man.
It felt like nails going through my fingertips.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't on social media. I kind of just like fell off the planet for a while
Mhm.
in the middle of publishing the two books. And my readers were like, where is book three? Because book two really it packs a punch at the end, and people
Yeah.
were wanted book three. And my intention was to release it like right away, but it didn't happen. So anyway, so I would suggest if I had to do it again, I would write all three books. Then I could focus on editing book one, polishing book one. I could handle that while marketing and then working on the next book and so on and so forth. You know what I mean? So I
Hmm.
Right.
and you could put
Yes.
them out quicker because I think people tend to forget. They move on to the next shiny
Yeah.
thing, and so if you can get them out every 6 months, you know what I mean? And kind of have a plan,
Absolutely.
a marketing plan for that. That would be what I would recommend. Whether I write another trilogy again, I don't know. We'll see. But if I
Yeah.
do, that's how I'm going to do it.
You're right. You're right. And a lot of people like to know that it's out, that the three of them are out before they even start the first one,
Mm-hmm.
They
just because they
they
don't want to wait.
They do. And I sold the first one and I sold a lot of my first copy. But at that time, I wasn't sure that it was going to be a three, I guess by then I take that back. I guess by the time I published it, I did know that there was going to be a trilogy. So I take that back. But when I've done, we met at a book fair several months
Hmm.
ago and many people were like, are all three books out? Because I don't even want to start it if not all three books
Right.
were out,
Yes.
are out. And so, yeah, I mean,
Right.
that's for some
Like,
people,
can't catch
that's,
a break. Come on.
I know, I know.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It
It's a
is a lot.
lot.
Yeah.
So
So
what would you think?
that's excellent advice.
Yep. So what would you think was your high and your low of the whole process?
To specific to this book
Yes.
or
Yeah. To
To the
call her.
trilogy.
Yeah. Or yeah,
Oh,
or
okay.
both. Yeah.
well,
Go ahead.
yeah, I mean, not my debut novel that we're talking about, the trilogy. So I would say, gosh, um I think releasing the first book just in general was pretty cool and pretty exciting. I went to Southport. I did 4 days or 3 days of like a fair that they had down there. I think I sold 150 copies that weekend and I signed, and everybody was so excited that this book was about their town. Even now there's a bookstore in the town that's since like they weren't open at that time. They've just been open for about a year or so. They
Mhm.
carry my books. I've been there to do signings
Oh,
and so I think it was cool because my first novel was a fiction based on a true story. And so while it was a book and I was proud to finish that and actually have accomplished it, and I remember opening opening the package with my very first book, like that was a moment that I don't know that you'll ever replicate. And all the authors out there, you know what I'm talking about
Yeah.
when you get that first one in your hand. But this one made me feel like I was truly a writer. It was like I took this book
mm,
out of thin air and just made this stuff up out of nowhere. You know what I mean? Like, yes, I had inspiration, but we all draw from inspiration from places. But
absolutely.
this was not a based on a true story. This was not, this was just a true fiction all the way from start to finish. And when I got done with that, I was like, man, I did that. Like that was really cool. And I think that my low point was probably I have to go back to, being sick and the MS, the in between the two and the
Mhm.
book two and book three. There was a point where I wasn't even sure I was going to get book three out because I didn't know, I mean, there was points of that where I was thinking that I was gonna, I didn't know if I was gonna live. I didn't know. They told me I had a stroke. My brain was like foggy
It
and
has scars.
not working properly. And I was like, I don't even know if I can write ever again. I don't even know if I can think straight. Like
Yeah.
and it was really, really scary and terrifying. And I wanted so badly to, to get my book out and I couldn't. So I feel like that was difficult. And then something else probably through that as I started kind of release or I worked through that and then it was time to release that book and I was better, I was getting treatment and I was feeling good again. I started the nonfiction book that's kind of for my everyday life and I was writing that book while marketing and promoting and releasing like the third book in the trilogy. And that was awful. Like I will never do that again. That was just super
It's a
overwhelming.
lot.
Yeah. And I think that I really went through this period of time where it was like, my mom always used to say this phrase to me that was do not put off till today or to do not put off till tomorrow what you can do
You
today.
can do
Mhm.
today.
And I live by that. I really do. It's like I drag myself off the couch, like, come on, we can do this tonight. Like, just let's get it done. And
Mhm.
I that stuck with me forever. And I think when I got sick and then I got better, I had this like I'm over this now, but I initially had this like neurotic, like I have to hurry up and get everything done today because tomorrow may not be here. Or I may
Mm,
wake up
I
tomorrow
could see
blind.
that. Sure.
I may
Yeah.
wake up tomorrow and not be able to walk. I may wake up tomorrow and my brain not work properly. So I got to
Mhm.
get it all done now. And I operated like that for a good like 7 or 8 months.
Wow. Which could not have been good for healing.
No,
Yeah.
no, it was not.
Oh my gosh.
So I realize now that that was crazy and lunacy, and I just got to take one day at a time. But yeah, so I think that was kind of a low point, just not knowing if I was going to be able to publish the third book. I set out to do this trilogy, and I really wanted to finish it. And so I think,
Oh, I'm
that's
glad you're better. How are you now?
I'm doing
And
great, actually. I have wonderful care, and my doctor here in Tennessee is actually kind of like randomly is like a world-renowned MS specialist that just happens to be in my town.
Wow.
They have a R&D department, and so I have cutting edge like treatment that's not offered everywhere, and it's
Mhm.
definitely making a significant difference. I
That's
think
wonderful.
so I do infusions every 6 months. And I think I've had three now. And I always tell people it's like it's always, this is from my math background. I'm like, it's an uphill
Mm.
slope for sure. It's been an uphill slope, which is great, but it kind of goes up and then down, like right before my next infusion, like I start feeling kind of
Mm.
crummy again. And then
Mhm.
it
Hmm.
goes up and down and up and down. But at least, the overall trajectory is up, and I'm definitely improving. I've had to make major life changes, which is why there's water in my wine glass.
Yes.
I don't drink anymore. I drink water and hot tea. Those are the two things I drink. That is it. I don't have caffeine. I mean, I stopped drinking coffee. I would start my day. I mean, I would start my day with a minimum of 2 cups of coffee, ladies. And most of the time it was 3 or 4. And then
Wow.
I'd switch straight to Diet Coke. And I smoked at least a pack and a half of cigarettes a day.
Oh,
Oh my
dang.
And
gosh.
I
Wow.
was going 400 miles an hour like a freight train, get out of my way, I'm doing my thing. And
Yeah.
all in one day, I quit cold turkey, smoking, caffeine, all of it, boom, done.
That
Like
is tough.
because I was in so much pain and I was
Yeah.
grasping like what's going to make me feel better. So I just gave it all up. So yes, I'm very careful about what I put in my body now. And,
Wow.
I drink water in my wine glass. But I love vodka. Used to love vodka, and I
A
will
good
drink
Sure.
every.
martini.
Yes, yes. Vodka is my
Yes.
favorite. It's my favorite drink, and I will drink occasionally on like a special occasion, but it's
Mhm.
very
Hmm.
little, and I typically feel it if I do. Like I start
Mm.
kind of feeling numb and tingly again from it. Yeah,
Really?
Well, you should be
crazy.
very proud of yourself
Wow.
for getting through that
That
and
is
still
huge.
writing and still producing,
It was a wild
because that's
time.
tough to be creative when you have all these
Mhm.
other things going on
Yeah.
that are
Yeah.
life changing. So kudos to you
And
for doing that.
motivating and so many great things. And I have
Yeah.
one final question. I know that we're probably out of time, but I see that you have a seal, which is an award. Tell us about the award.
Yeah,
It is
so that one is reader's
reader's
favorite.
favorite.
Yeah, reader's
Hmm.
favorite book award winner. Call Her Janie actually won several awards. That was the first award that the book won, so I had it added to the cover. The second award that the book won was a gold medal with the Book Fest Book Awards, and it was actually on the New York Times. It was at Times Square in New York City on the
Jumbotrons.
yes, yes.
Hmm.
So I actually have pictures of that on my social media of the cover, and I think it's the original
Oh,
cover actually.
oh,
Oh, we gotta look that
wow.
up now.
On
Congratulations.
yeah, I can text you guys afterwards the picture of that so you
Excellent.
can see it. But
Okay.
so that was my second award, and then I don't know, I feel like there was definitely some others, but it was fun participating in those. I really like readers favorite because they do book reviews
Hmm.
of the book as well, and so it actually received 3 5-star book reviews, which was awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, so I like that one for that reason, and I like the Book Fest Book Awards because they do a lot of really awesome stuff for the authors as well, and they offer like a 2 day online. If as part of being part of the awards, you can go and there's different authors doing like online Zoom classes and different things like that. It's helpful for the authors.
Hmm.
So I try to put my books into awards like that just offer something more than just the award where I can learn. I love to learn.
Yeah. And it's
Sure.
marketing. It's great
Yeah,
marketing.
yeah, of
That's
course.
awesome.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And actually, Janie's Hope just won a Reader's Favorite Award a week or two ago. September 1st, actually, it was announced. And so
Oh.
all three books now have actually won. You can see, oh, I don't have stickers on these, poop. But all three books have won awards, and I've added stickers to all of them. I haven't
Hmm.
redone the covers yet, but I have like hard stickers on them. So that was really cool. And then
Back in April, I have here two of them had it.
yes, yes, there you
So
go. And
mhm,
Janie's Hope just got added September 1st. So
that's beautiful.
all three
I
books
love
won,
it.
which is super, super exciting.
That
It
is
just makes you feel
wonderful.
validated in
Congrats.
your work, you know?
Sure.
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah.
that's fantastic.
I wanted to ask you a quick question. So let's talk about your debut novel a little bit.
sure.
Tell us what the title is and what's the premise behind it.
So the title is The Secrets We Conceal,
Mhm.
and it's about the secrets we conceal. So
So many
Um,
secrets.
yes, yes. It's the main character's name is Laura,
Yeah.
and it's about her journey. She suffers some childhood sexual abuse by a family member,
Hmm.
and it's about that, which is very intense and very heavy.
Hmm.
But then that's kind of ends pretty early on in the book, and then the rest of the book, 3/4 of the book is about her recovering from that and how she manages through middle school and high school and into adulthood. She eventually finds Tom, in college, who becomes her husband, and just, being just what it does to a person, I guess, to kind of experience that, and kind of how they manage, through life to come out the other side, is really kind of what that was. So it's a journey of resilience, and I wrote it as people always ask me initially, was it your story? And it is my story. I was
Hmm.
afraid to admit that at first, just because it's something that I didn't really want to talk about.
Yeah.
I never told anybody. My husband knew when we started dating. Well, not right when we first started. I didn't say, "Hi, nice to meet you. This happened to me when I was a kid."
Oh,
But,
Yeah.
right.
I told him before we got married, of course. And so he knew, my mom knew, but she passed away when I was 21, and I never told a soul. And then I wrote a book about it. So, that was pretty wild. And,
I'm very
um,
brave.
yeah, and so it took me a little while to be comfortable with kind of talking about it being my story, but I chose to
Yeah.
write it as a fiction, and it is fictionalized because I wanted it to be a story that people could learn from and want to read, kind of like, I hate to say this, but kind of like that page turner, you
Hmm.
know, a lot of times we don't want to read educational books, or we don't want to read memoirs, or we
Right.
don't want to read self-help. And so writing it as a novel, I felt like made it more digestible.
Yeah.
And I've had tons of people that reach out and are, just thank you so much for writing this book. This happened to me. I've told my family now for the first time because of your book, things like
Wow.
that. And
Hmm.
one lady reached out and told me that she had gone through something similar and never told anyone. And now she's reading the book with her therapist, and they're talking through it
Mm.
together. It's funny because Laura, the character in the book, she doesn't go to therapy. She never has therapy. Um, and so people always ask that, I don't believe this is real. There's no way that could happen. And, it's funny because Stacy today, I do have a therapist. But I didn't, for
Right.
the majority of my life. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, it was really more, it's kind of a love story too. And how much, Tom impacted her healing and her ability to kind of overcome that. And then from that, Tom and Laura may appear in another novel down the road that I hope to
Ooh.
write, called 10,000 Steps, where Laura is talking through her journey of MS and kind of what that was like, and how she got her diagnosis, and then
Hmm.
the aftermath too, how that impacted her family and her kids,
Yeah.
and all of those things. And so Laura and Tom it's not going to be a sequel, but it will be the same characters. I feel like I have a lot of readers that really like Laura and Tom, and so I'll bring them back
Hmm.
for 10,000 Steps. My plan was to write that after the trilogy, but the nonfiction book that I started for work took precedence. And so
Yeah.
so 10,000 Steps was put on the back burner. So, but it's coming. It's coming out. I will do
Oh,
it
that's
at some point.
fantastic.
Yeah,
Well, I hope you keep us in mind when it does come out.
Yeah. We would love to
And we
tell
absolutely.
would
our listeners
absolutely
about it.
love to read the full trilogy now that we've read the first one. So keeping keeping and hope we would love to read, and we'll share with everybody. We're going to tell everybody where they can find your book and where they can find you. What's the best place to find you?
Yeah,
Is
so
there?
I can be found on social media at @srfabrico_author on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok. And then my website is www.srfabrico, that's fabrico.com. And then my books can be purchased anywhere online that books are sold, and even in some bookstores. Just depends on where you are, but pretty much anywhere online you can find them. And if you have Kindle Unlimited, all the entire trilogy is free on Kindle Unlimited.
Oh,
Oh,
that's amazing. That's
wow. That's
perfect. I could just pull it up
fantastic.
on my Kindle.
Yeah.
Excellent. Enough
Yep.
said. I love it.
Well,
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
thank you. Thank you for being our guest today and sharing your story and being so brave to put yourself out there in all sorts of ways through your novels. And you guys, for everyone listening, please check out her book, Call Her Janie, by S.R. Fabrico Stacy, her whole series, and her debut novel, The Secrets We Conceal. Right?
Yes.
Did I get it right?
Yes.
Awesome.
You did.
Thank you all for listening. Let's do a final cheers.
I love it. I love it.
Cheers. Thank you guys so much for
With
having me
water.
on. This was so much fun. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate it. And we appreciate your time.
Yes. Everyone listening, like, share, follow, subscribe. We'll see you next time.
Yes, absolutely. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.